everyone, and the Honorable Purnamastri. Here I am, the Nisa. As a student of Magister English Language Education in Jakarta State University. Here, I would like to deliver about my comparing, contrasting, and synthesizing technology for education in 6 articles. And then this article focuses on Google Classroom. So this explanation is requirement fulfillment as for English proficiency for teacher subject. Next, okay, here the 6 articles titles. Like I said before, it's only focuses about Google Classroom. So the title of this article, what is that? Is has a Google Classroom or divided by Google Classroom. The first one article is the effectiveness of English learning media through Google Classroom in higher education. And then the second one is Google Classroom implementation in Indonesian higher education. And then the third is LMS solution, evidence of Google Classroom usage in higher education. And then the fourth is the usage of Google Classroom application for writing and speaking in English education. And then the fifth, integrating Google Classroom in teaching as changing the learning cultures in higher education during a pandemic era. And then the sixth is about strategy for implementing blended learning with Google Classroom during the COVID-19 pandemic era in higher education. I will make my, what is that? Oh, it's disturbing about text. Okay, next. So from all of the article, we have a purpose, and then we make a summary of the purpose. As almost of this publication desire to discover the usefulness and implementation of utilizing Google Classroom for English learning process or English learning activity. So we can know we can know and we want to know what is the implementation, what is the increasing by the Google Classroom in English learning activity. And then the methods in each article, I make it in the different, because here of the articles have different method, so I make this point in each article. The first one is this research in a 2-cycle trial, referred to as cycle 1 and cycle 2. So the result of the data are compared to the cycle of learning implementation. And then after we get the results of the study, so we can describe the blended learning Google Classroom as an alternative process of teaching English, and Google Classroom as a process of teaching blended learning. So this method is 2-cycle. And then the second article, they have a, well, that the method is qualitative descriptive study. So this research is conducted on students of the Department of Geography Education, Faculty of Social Sciences in Universitas Negeri Medan. And then this, respondents is taking courses in meteorology and climatology in the odd semester of 2017 and 2018 academic year. So the respondent is, as a as a respondent. And then the third article have the method in introduce new approach of investigating the usage of LMS. The example like identifying the determinants of increasing usage of LMS activity. So by conducting this LMS empirical analysis for the case of CEEU. CEEU of this word is some features in LMS. As we know that LMS is one of the tools like Google Classroom, so we choose this article also. And the fourth article, the method of this article use hermeneutic or phenomenology study, and it focuses on description and interpretation of lived experience. So we can use this is what is that qualitative approach, because this is the past, and then we can use the instruments like deep interview, observation, and document review. Document review. And then the fifth article, the test design was used to analyze students' performance and the surveys of perceptions of the use of Google Classroom was evaluated statistically using a questionnaires. So this method is a survey, and then as a point or best what is that the highest point to get the result is by using the questionnaire. And then the sixth is this article, using the data collected using by questionnaire, observation, documentation, assignment, and test. So this what is that? Because this method using a test, so we can see the method is quantitative approach. And then here, now I make it the result is by one of the articles, because in each what is that the purpose and a method is different, so we can get another or different result. And then the first result of the article one, use of Google Classroom helps improve the average achievement of students enrolled in English education department. So this research concludes that application or Google Classroom is capable of operating effectively, assisting lecturers and students enrolled in English language education study program in carrying out the learning process more instantly. So from this article, it means that they can get the result is positive by using Google Classroom. And then the second, after applying the learning media in the form of Google Classroom, the results of students' learning independence were significant. This was evidenced by the majority of students having high learning independence, while the ability to think critically is the most accumulated. Students in the ability to think critically medium level. Because the respondents of this article was that in junior high school, but by using Google Classroom, they can have critical uh, critical in medium level. It means that this application of this tool is very effective for learning English. And then the third one, the empirical results show positive relationship between student and instructor LMS usage. So from this, what is that result between students and instructor? And as we know that instructor of LMS like teachers, lectures, or maybe lectures in a course have a good relationship or positive. So Google Classroom has a positive or good for learning English also. And then the fourth is Google Classroom enhances writing and speaking skills in the form of assignments. As we know that the skill of English is what is that? Writing, speaking, listening, and reading. For listening and reading, we can see by Meet. Google Meet, so we can listen someone and then reading some text. But the important point, we can use writing and speaking skill for increase our skill of English. by using assignments in Google Classroom. So this is very positive results. And next is fifth article. The result of the students' perception survey during the study indicates the use of Google Classroom is observed positively as a technological which will modernize the dynamic learning and engagement. And then the teacher can stimulate critical thinking and their participation if used stable for learning English. So this because this method is survey, and then we only use or we only observe what is that what happens in uh, during the classroom viewing, and then the result is we can know and the teacher can know and can stimulate the critical thinking by students in using Google Classroom. And then the sixth or the last article, the research finding resonate closely with other researchers in developed countries, which show the application of blended learning with Google Classroom has proven successful in learning English. As we know that in this pandemic era, we use blended learning or mixed method in learning, especially learning English, because we can increase our skill in writing, speaking, reading, and listening. And then from this research, what is that? By using our application blended learning with Google Classroom has a proven successful in increasing the students' learning, and then get the students' critical thinking. So I can make a summary for this for all of the results. All of the publications had a favorable outcome in their study, and particularly when it came to using Google Classroom for learning activities. This means that Google Classroom might be a useful tool for encouraging students' critical thinking and English acquisition. So for students, for teachers, as we know that Google Classroom is one of the favorite webs or media to make learning activities, so they can get what while the pandemic era is still have what's that still with us, so we can still get many impact for especially positive impact for doing learning activity by using Google Classroom. And here I have a quote from someone famous. This is a quote, words full of wisdom that someone important said and can make the reader get inspired. So, if you have many words or you read a lot, you can get inspired with by your words. I think that's all for my explanation. Thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.